up, everybody? Anthony here, Empire Music, empiremusic.com. And today we are checking out another beautiful bass from Carlos Lopez, Castedosa Guitars. This is the Conchers short scale bass. This one's got an interesting body wood on it, obviously featuring the Curtis Novak pickups. We're gonna dive into a lot of the sounds, all the specs. Let's check it out. All right, so Castedosa Guitars, that's a brand that we're really proud of here at Empire Music. If you've been into the shop, you've seen them well represented. If you were here for our greatest guitar sale ever earlier in the year, you had a chance to meet Carlos Lopez and his wife Stephanie. They were here for that. It was amazing. You know, Carlos builds really, I think, the kind of the mountaintop of instruments, whether we're talking about his baritone series. There's a few of them. Has his Abbey, which is kind of a Strat style, the Mariana, which is the Telly style. There's the various Conchers configurations, and the bass. So this is the Conchers short scale instrument, short scale bass, I should say. Absolutely exceptional. The feel on everything is just, I just really think it's the pinnacle of the craft. Just a brief bit of backstory there. So Carlos was a master builder at Fender Custom Shop. And I always remember when we got the first set of probably Strats that came through. And to be honest with you, I didn't necessarily know the name at that point, but like these guitars were just like flying off the shelves, and you know, master built stuff's expensive. And you know, started taking note of that, and then realizing pretty quickly that Carlos left the Fender Custom Shop to do the Castedosa thing. We had high expectations whenever the stuff started making its way into the store, and I think they were exceeded in the first time grabbing them and experiencing, you know, the originality. And I think that's a key word. We talk about Castedosa as a whole, is originality. But the craftsmanship, the feel, the looks, the vibe, I'll say that word again, the originality, doing something that was, you know, based on the tried and true Fender thing, but really with its own aesthetics to it. And then the sound. And once we plugged everything in, and I'm talking strictly guitars here, once we plugged everything in, oh wow, these have a voice to them. And our customer base reacted very well to them. And they sold, which is always a pretty good barometer of if something's gonna be popular. When you bring in a smaller brand or an upstart kind of brand and they sell, there's a lot of phone calls on them. There's a lot of just exposure you can feel about a line. So that kind of happened with Castedosa. Then fast forward, forging a relationship with Carlos and his wife Stephanie. And we kind of fast forward through that, and the talk was, he wants to do a bass. He's going to do it on the Conchers platform. And we were lucky enough to get his first few basses. I personally was lucky enough to get one of the first few basses that he made, kind of a limited run. Very cool. And this bass here kind of falls right in line with that. And so here we have, again, Conchers short scale. When I say short scale, what I'm talking about there is 30 inches from the bridge to the nut. So that span is 30 inches. To put that into reference, a standard precision bass, a standard jazz bass is going to be 34 inches. A long scale instrument, oftentimes you see 5-string instruments, 6-string instruments, be 35 scale. So that's kind of the common spots. You see a few middle ground there with medium scale, which might be 32, something like that. But 30 scale, so short scale. What that does, it does change the sound of any instrument because, you know, those strings essentially have less tension on them. So they have a little bit more rubbery, a little slinkier feel, a little slower feel to them. But you get used to it pretty quickly, but they also sound interesting. There's a thing that a short scale bass or any other instrument, I think guitar players could probably relate to that. I know acoustic guitar, we're a big Martin Custom Shop dealer here, Taylor Custom Shop, Taylor and Martin in general, and Gibson for that matter, which, speaking of short scales, is pretty common in the Gibson world there on acoustics. But I think an acoustic player would agree too that you definitely have a different tonality that you get, not just in addition to the feel, there's also a pretty big tonal difference you get out of a short scale instrument. It's also comfortable, so the span between the frets is just a little bit closer. Everything feels a little bit tighter and a little bit more compact, so there is a comfort factor with the short scale instrument that I think I like, and I wouldn't say it's, I generally are going to pick because of sound, not comfort, as someone that's been playing for a long time, 30 years playing. Like, scale length doesn't necessarily throw me for too much of a loop until we really start getting the long scale stuff occasionally, but that's another topic. So short scale, 30-inch scale length instrument here. This one's interesting because the body of this it's a pine body, and pine's a little bit lighter weight, so that does save some weight on these basses, which is nice. Super well balanced though, but tonally, it's a little bit more open, pore-wise. The pore structure of the wood's a little bit more open. The finish on this is absolutely gorgeous. This is actually in aged Sonic Blue. Yes, Sonic Blue, don't adjust your dials out there if you're old school and watching this on TV. But no, your color program on your computer is right, or on your phone. This is Sonic Blue, even though it has kind of a mint green, tomatillo green kind of look to it. It's aged Sonic Blue, so that yellowing compound, that aging compound on blue, especially the way that Carlos crafts these instruments, does come across as this green, this nicotined yellow, nicotined white kind of look. I love it. You have a big part of this is the Curtis Novak pickups in it. Talking about a gold foil pickup here in the bridge and the Guild Bisonic here in the neck. Sonically, the instrument just gives you so much. You have this big, thick, woolly kind of P-bassy sound, obviously with the short scale tonality to it here in the neck pickup. You have a very distinctly bright mid-range punch jazz bass sound out of the bridge. And then you put those two together and you have this really full, tons and tons of harmonic and musical information there. It sits so beautifully in a mix, and it really gives you three distinctly different sounds. It can range everything from vintage up to modern, kind of surprising from the visual element of this bass. It just gives you a lot there. All right, so we talked about the bodywood, we talked about the pickups. Let's move up to the neck here. So what we have going on is an ebony fretboard with a 12-inch fretboard radius, so kind of on the flat side there, which is very, very comfortable to me. You check out the back of the neck here, and this has a mole finish on it, mole burst finish on it. So you see it goes from light to dark, or dark to light, excuse me, dark to light in the middle, back to dark at the headstock. Profile-wise on the back of that neck, it's a compound profile, so it's a V to C. What that means there is you have a V profile down here between, you know, the nut and fret 1, we'll say, up to probably fret 7. Then it starts to transition to a C neck. So you feel the more defined spine down here, which actually feels really good as your hand is further away from your body. And then as we move up the neck, it kind of flattens out, or rounds out, I should say, as you kind of need it to up here. So it has this, like, I always think of that as like what would be called like an asymmetrical neck. It actually fits the curve of the hand as you move and is comfortable all the way up the neck. It's a vintage kind of profile, but not so thick and not so chunky that it feels out of place. And all the heft and the chunk is down at this point. When we get up here and the neck starts to round out into that C shape, it slims up a little bit as well. Vintage style open gear reverse tuners on the back. What's really cool too is that Carlos signs every one of these by hand and puts the serial number here, signs that. This is all under a beautiful nitro lacquer. The aging is beautiful on it. You know, Castedosa logo at the front here. And then the nut width here is 1.5 inches. So what you have is like what we would think of as jazz bass spacing. Again, same way I'll talk about scale length. To put that into reference, a vintage P bass is 1.75 inches. A modern P bass would be, generally speaking, 1.652, and a jazz bass would be 1.5 inches. I think the 1.5 inches makes a ton of sense on the short scale instrument because you're kind of compiling these comfortable factors into the instrument. From a scale length perspective, from a fret width perspective, and from a nut width perspective there. Super comfortable, super ergonomic instrument. Every time I pick one up here in the store or my personal one, absolute joy to play. All right, so I talked about all of the general positions on this bass. Luckily for you out there, and for me, because I get to experience it, having owned one of these basses for quite some time now, God, 3 or 4 years, I feel like, maybe it's about 3 years, I've been able to experience some things in my personal time, personal playing, so whether that be gigs, through in-ear system, gigs through an amp, tons of recording, again, miking a cabinet, miking an amp, also recording direct. You know, just about every musical situation I've been able to put my Castedosa Conchers in. I have a few favorite settings in this. And I think the one that I go to, there's really 2 settings that I go to the most here. The one is middle position. Now, soloed, it's probably not my favorite sound on the bass. It has this top end clarity to it that just doesn't really remind me of a vintage thing. It's a little bit more modern than I think, and it definitely took me by surprise when I first got the instrument. You might have already heard that in this video. Maybe you had the same reaction to it as I did. I'd love to know up to this point in the video what you think of the instrument. Please leave a comment below. I'd love to discuss this stuff. If you know me, I'll jump in the comment section of every one of my videos, and I love the bass discussion. And so feel free to do that. But middle position, whether you're playing like open finger style playing, whether you're playing like open pick, what I mean by that is not muting the strings, or what like the thumb style with muting the strings, or pick style with muting the strings, palm muting back here. All four of those sounds, regardless of where you have this tone control on it, are just exceptional. They are supportive and they are very musical, but they're also very interesting. And I find that in a recording environment, I should say, all of the harmonic information that position gives you really can help out an engineer or yourself if you're doing the mixing. Give it all the tone, give it the top end clarity, give it all that bite that it provides, and then you can pick and choose where to kind of strip away. So this is like the secret weapon in the studio for sure, but that middle position is exceptional. All right, then another position that I use often is just neck pickup. Now, me as a P-bass player, that's a pretty easy, or predominantly a P-bass player. I play my conchers a lot. That's a very easy grab for me. That's kind of an at-home setting for me. It's big, it's round, it's beyond supportive. I mean, it just offers so much by way of weight and can offer so much space if you want that the low end in a track, depending on the musical environment. That neck pickup, and we can talk about all those playing techniques as well. Finger style, open picking, palm mute with thumb. Just an exceptional position. These Novak pickups I own quite a few Novak pickups in various instruments, and I love all of them. The Guild by Sonic is really one of his more popular bass pickups, and I just don't know that there's a larger, heftier, weightier sound out there on the market when we think about what this gives you, certainly catering towards vintage. right, so that is the Castedosa Conchers short scale bass. This is an interesting one with a pine body, aged sonic blue. I'll say it again, don't adjust your dials. This is aged sonic blue, I promise you. If you have any questions about this bass, any of our Castedosa inventory, give me a call personally at the shop, 412-343-5299. You can email me directly. It's anthony@empiremusic.com. Keep in mind, we ship everywhere. No stock photos on the website. We do a professional, factory setup on the way out the door. Big benefit too, calling us or reaching out to any one of us here at the shop is our knowledge base is huge. We deal with this stuff all day long, every day, every week, every month, every year. And we're able to really guide you, I think, into the perfect instrument for what you're looking for your playing needs very, very easily. So again, that phone number of the shop is 412-343-5299. The website is empiremusic.com. Thanks for watching. See you next time.